Are you feeling overwhelmed by the chaos in your home? I've been there too, running in circles, trying to do it all, and losing sight of what truly matters. That's when I came up with this simple steps, an acronym I remind myself of when I need to pause, reset, and refocus. So in this episode, I'm sharing these faith-filled, practical strategies that have transformed my home and my mindset. And if you're ready to break free from the overwhelm and create a peaceful, purposeful space for your family, then this episode is for you. So grab a notebook and pen and let's jump in. Hey friend, welcome to Modern Homemaker Mom. Feeling stuck in the chaos? Do you find yourself in survival mode juggling all the things? If you're ready to regain control of your home, schedule, and time for yourself, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Jynae, a wife, mom, and homemaker who turned my household chaos into purpose with simple, flexible routines. I'm here to help you create a cozy, clutter-free home and reclaim your time for what matters most. In this podcast, you'll find episodes around home routines, cycle syncing, and self-care practices so that you can eliminate the overwhelm and create a home that you love. Go grab that laundry basket and let's get started. If you're new here, welcome. I'm your host, Jynae Schmid, and I'm so excited that you decided to take a moment out of your day today to listen to me. If you're loving the practical homemaking tips I've been sharing here on the podcast, I've got something super special for you. I just launched a free Facebook group called Simple Home Routines for Homemakers, and I would absolutely love for you to join us over there. This group is a cozy corner of the internet where we can connect, encourage one another, and share ideas for creating peaceful, clutter-free homes. Inside, you'll even find more actionable steps, simple routines, and faith-centered encouragement to help you tackle homemaking without feeling overwhelmed. Whether you're looking for cleaning schedules, decluttering inspiration, or just a group of like-minded women cheering you on, this is the place to be. Plus, I'll be popping in regularly to share exclusive content, answer your questions, and hang out with you. Joining is super easy. You can just go ahead and open up your computer and type in bit.ly/home routines, and it will take you directly to the Facebook group. Otherwise, you can scroll down to the link that I've attached here in the show notes of this episode, and it will take you right there. So go ahead and pause this episode for a moment and join us there. I can't wait to meet you inside. Okay, now let's dive into what I am going to be sharing with you today in the episode. Life can get overwhelming, especially when the demands of homemaking, motherhood, and everything else seems to collide all at once. There were times I found myself running in circles, overstimulated, and completely out of balance. I'd try to do it all, but end up feeling exhausted and completely out of control, and I know nobody likes feeling like that. Nobody likes feeling overwhelmed. So that's when I knew I needed a reminder, something simple and faith-filled to ground me in those moments. And so that's why I came up with the simple acronym in my life. I created it for myself as a quick, catchy way to refocus when chaos starts creeping in, and I need that reminder. It's become a tool that I use to find clarity and balance, a way to bring myself to pause, breathe, and realign with what truly matters. Because when we get caught up in the overwhelm, in the to-do lists, in the things that are stressing us out, we forget what the whole purpose behind it all is. So whenever I feel that overwhelming pressure build, I come back to these steps. They help me regain vision for my home, my family, and my faith. So I'm excited to share it with you today because I know how much peace that it can bring. Before we dive into breaking down this acronym, this simple acronym, I want to encourage you to grab a notebook and a pen to write down the steps I'm about to talk about with you. If you're anything like me, writing something that I'm learning down on paper so that I can see it in front of my eyes makes me comprehend the concept so much better. It may take some time before you can remember the meaning behind this acronym, so it's important that you take notes so that over time you can reflect on the acronym when you need it until you have it memorized. This way, when the overwhelm creeps into you during those days that don't seem to go right, you know what I'm talking about, the days where you feel like you started on the wrong foot and you wish you could just hit a reset button. At least I go through this. So I would assume that you have these days as well. This acronym is going to help you get back on your feet and set you up for success for the rest of your day. Sometimes the easiest answer to our problem is just a tiny tweak in our mindset and a few simple steps to help us reprioritize what's most important because we often lose direction. Okay, the first part of the acronym, I need you to write this down for letter S, is seek God first. Start your day by dedicating it to God through prayer and reflection. Use Matthew 6:33 as a grounding scripture to focus on what truly matters, His kingdom and His will. Set aside 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, even if it's just in the quiet of your car or sipping coffee before the kids get up or while you're getting ready in the bathroom. Take it to pray and read a devotional. If you don't want to read a devotional, you could have it read to you over your phone, because this small thing will literally help you align your priorities with God's plan for the rest of your day. I try to do this as much as I can. I'm not going to lie and say I do it every single day, because some days I forget. And the days I forget to do it, I definitely notice. And my days often don't go on the right track. I might fall astray. So even like I said, 5 to 10 minutes will make a difference, because it starts your day off with your head getting aligned with God, meeting God for that little meeting every single day where you prioritize Him first and not yourself, or not the hustle and bustle that's going to go on throughout your day. And even on those days where you either didn't have time, or you forgot to make time, or you just didn't prioritize your time with God in the morning, it's never too late to make some time for the Lord. Even if it's 2 p.m, when you start feeling that overwhelm creep in, the very first thing that you honestly should be doing in that time is set aside 5 minutes to devote just some quiet time with God. And I think we overcomplicate this process way more than we need to. Time with God doesn't have to be a 3-hour Bible study. Like, it doesn't. It could be 2 minutes in prayer, just eliminating distractions, just you and God, getting your head back on track, your eyes focused on Him. It could be taking 5 minutes to write in your journal. Maybe you're stressed out in that moment, so maybe you should write out how you're feeling, all the stresses, make a list, and then write beside those stresses, what's God saying to me? Okay, the second part of the acronym, letter I, write it down, identify priorities. Life can feel overwhelming when we try to do everything at once. So what you need to do is instead ask yourself, what are my essentials for today or the week? Think about your role. What are the main things that you need to be focusing on? For me, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a homemaker. So I need to choose tasks that honor these roles. I also run my own business, so I'm the CEO of my own business. So that needs to be taken into consideration as well. So what I do is I use a planner, a notebook, and I like to write down my top 3 non-negotiables for the day. If you don't have a planner or notebook, you could also use sticky notes to write down these 3 non-negotiables and break them into manageable steps so that you can celebrate the progress. The biggest thing that I think that we do to ourselves to set ourselves up for failure is give ourselves this mile-long to-do list of things to do in a day, because we all know it, whether we want to admit it or not, we're not going to be able to tackle that entire list, at least not usually. So what I do is I start off with 3 main things. So when I wake up and I look at that list, I know the 3 things, the 3 areas I need to focus on today. And when I get those done, because it's only 3 things, I feel a sense of accomplishment because I got them done, I crossed them off the list. And if the day is still young, I can go and look at what else can I do today, and I can add more to my plate as I have time for it. This acronym is called the S.I.M.P.L.E acronym, so that in and of itself should remind you to be constantly simplifying things. Whenever you're getting overwhelmed and stressed, you most likely have put too much on yourself, too much on your plate. So how can you simplify it? Okay, for letter M in the S.I.M.P.L.E acronym, it stands for minimize distractions. A decluttered space or mind often leads to a cluttered spirit. Yikes. Start by simplifying. Like I said, we always need to be simplifying physically, not just physically though, mentally and also digitally. Pick one room or one area, like your kitchen counter or your email inbox, and spend 15 minutes decluttering. Setting boundaries for social media or other distractions during these focus hours of your day is also really going to help you. When I know that I really need to sit down and focus in a day to get a big task done, my 3 non-negotiables, like I said, if one of my non-negotiables today is washing the bedding, that's just an example, I often will put on my focus hat and I'll say, okay, the phone is going in the drawer. I'm not answering any of the notifications, which I don't have a lot of notifications on my phone, but I do get a few people that come through. I put it in the drawer and I often will put on some music on the speaker before I do that because music helps me focus, and I just get to work. No distractions, and I'll tell you, the task takes half the amount of time when you minimize the distractions. Okay, letter P stands for practice, patience, and grace, because homemaking is a journey, not a race. Even though, I personally, I find myself getting caught up in trying to race through the day and get to the next thing, but that's not the whole point of life, and that's not how I want my life to be remembered as running this rat race, running on a treadmill, so to speak, throughout my entire life, just going from task to task. Because Philippians 4:6-7 reminds us to bring everything to God in prayer and not let worry take over. So often when we're trying to rush things, it's because we're worried about something else. Think about that. If you're rushing through a task, trying to get it done as fast as you can, what's the real reason you're rushing? Are you worried about making it in time for an appointment? Are you worried about hitting that goal that you set for yourself? If you ever find yourself in a rush and in a stress, it's probably not where God wants you to be. So that's when we need to reprioritize. And remember, like I said, P starts for practice, patience, and grace. Give yourself grace. Don't put so much on your shoulders. Don't give yourself so many expectations that you need to fill. When things don't go as planned, and I can promise you, they're not always going to go as planned, you need to pause and give yourself some grace. Remind yourself that it's okay if the laundry isn't folded or dinner is simple tonight and it's not 5-course meal. That's okay. Sometimes we just need to give ourselves a break. And for me personally, just implementing this in and of itself, not putting so much weight on myself, mentally helps me stay so much more grounded, giving myself that grace rather than the guilt. It helps me be more present with my family in a way that I'm not so mentally clouded, if that makes sense. If we have too much going on in our minds, we're putting all this guilt and expectation on ourselves, it's going to cloud your mental being. It's going to overwhelm you in your mind. You're not going to be present with your family because you might be thinking of something else. So remember that when you are finding yourself getting caught up in things and not practicing giving yourself patience and grace. Okay, letter L of the acronym is let go of perfection. Perfectionism often leads to paralysis. When we're so focused on doing things, quote unquote, just right, we can lose sight of the joy and the peace that we're trying to cultivate in doing that thing to begin with. I'm so guilty for this, and it's taken me a long time. Like I said, I still struggle with it sometimes, is getting caught up in wanting things to be perfect. But what I remind myself of is, and I know everyone says this, is it's progress over perfection. We need to be celebrating those small victories, like the fact that you maybe tidied one shelf in your kitchen or you cooked a simple meal. You, instead of worrying about how you didn't cook this big fancy meal, just take pride in the fact that you did put a meal on the table for your family to enjoy. I mean, that in and of itself is a victory. So don't worry and overcomplicate things by having to be so perfect, and just, again, it's the expectations that we put on ourselves of having to go above and beyond or having to have it all right, all perfect. I don't know about you, but when I have strived for perfection, put that expectation on myself that something was going to be perfect, every single time it left me feeling defeated. Gave me this yucky feeling like I wasn't good enough, that I was a failure to my family. But in letting go of this pressure, I feel so much peace, and I know for a fact that you will as well. Okay, the final letter of our acronym is E, which stands for establish simple routines. Your routines don't have to be elaborate to be effective. Simple, simple, simple. I'm always going to be saying this on the podcast. Simple and simplify. Repeatable habits create a rhythm and peace in your home. If you don't currently have a routine in your home put in place, start out with one routine, one small, simple routine, like a morning checklist for yourself or an evening wind down before bed for your family. I don't have a physical checklist in front of my face for my wind down bedtime routine because I've just been doing it for so long. But if you wanted to have a checklist for yourself, like my routine looks like, we wind down the house by just giving it a quick tidy. I wash my face, we prepare the bed, we close the blinds, we give Oakland, she gets a little nighttime feed so that it will carry her a little longer through the night so that I can get some extra sleep. Like, these would be things that you would write down on your checklist. I mean, obviously you'd personalize it to what you're doing before bed, but that's an example of a simple routine. It's not elaborate. There's not a whole lot that goes into it. It literally only takes about 15 minutes, but it's simple, and routines are what help you stay on track. Another thing about routines is that we're constantly needing to revisit them and decide, is this working or is it not working? If it's working, okay, we're going to keep doing it. If it's not working, okay, now what can we change? We need to look at what we need to change or implement to make it work better for us. And I mean, it's also going to depend on what season you're in your life. If you're in a busy season and you have a lot of children, or maybe you're pregnant and you're needing more rest, or in the early stages with a newborn, like your routine when you have a newborn is going to look completely different when you have a bunch of toddlers running around. So always be revisiting your routines, but remember to keep them simple. The simpler the routine, flexible it can be. And when we keep our routines flexible, it's not so devastating when a curveball gets thrown our way and we have to dodge it and we have to work around it. If we have this rigid, structured routine, when the unknown happens, it throws us so off balance that we don't know how to get back on track. So that's why simple routines are so important, is because it's easy to get back on track because they're, like I said, they're simple. So that about wraps it all up. For your homework today, if you didn't do it already, I suggest that you go back and listen to me talking through the acronym S.I.M.P.L.E and write down, taking notes, what each of the S.I.M.P.L.E acronyms stands for, each letter. And then the next time that you start feeling overwhelmed and you're on the brink of burnout, I want you to reflect on these notes that you took today and take action. It's going to make a difference, and it doesn't have to be difficult. Just take one step at a time. This acronym is broken down into each step you need to take to reset and gain control back. It's not overcomplicated. It's simple. You just need to take the time to refocus. I can promise that it is going to help ground you. I mean, there's a reason I gave this acronym, like I said earlier, the name's simple. Remember, it's not meant to be hard. Well, that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening today, friend. If this episode brought you encouragement, joy, or peace in any way, I would love it if you take a moment to also share with a friend who could use some support in this. And until next time, I'll see you in next week's episode. Before you go, if this podcast has encouraged or helped you in any way, the best way that you can show your support is by subscribing to the show and leaving a written 5-star review. Your words truly make my day and remind me why I love sharing here. You can also snap a screenshot of this episode and share it with a friend or post it to your Instagram stories. Make sure to tag me at Her Stable Home. Thanks so much for listening, friend. I will see you next time.